Oh, I'm only 23, so I don't know everything there is to know about life, but I have been journaling since I was about 14. And if there's one thing I've realised, it's that there are a few things that keep popping up, probably because they're true. So to avoid giving unsolicited advice, I'm going to disguise these lessons which I think we should have learnt in school as if I'm talking to myself. Let's get to it. Number 1, the more I talk, the less I do. There have been multiple times in my life where I'm on the right path. I'm not watching porn, I'm meaningfully engaged in what I'm doing and in whatever I've chosen to focus my mind on at that point in time in my life. But then a conversation arises, either with a friend or someone I've just met for the first time, and I begin talking about how bad pornography is and how I've replaced it with all of the healthy habits I now do. But whilst giving this monologue, I always notice that there's something inside me that signals danger to me talking this way. And I know, because I've experienced this many times before, that as if I'm playing some weird trick on myself, after giving this monologue, the next few days I then feel more tempted to deviate from the self-development path and binge watch something or watch pornography, fall off the bandwagon and get myself into a rut. In fact, all of the setbacks I've experienced in life have literally come after a positive monologue like this, where I'm talking about the good things that I'm doing in my life. So the point I've realised here is that the more you talk, the less you do. Because talking and doing fight for the exact same resources, the exact same energy sources in your brain and body. So you have to be really careful about which one you choose. So if you choose to talk more about what you're doing, what your plans are for the future, or just about showing your accomplishments in any way whatsoever, then realise that you're running the risk of slacking off because you feel like the work is being done just by talking about it. Lastly, there is an aspect of maturity here that I think is worth mentioning. For example, one of the best things I learned from Mark Manson, the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, is that you become an adult when the things that you do are in line with the things that you say. So if you're running your mouth and you've realised that action isn't being taken, perhaps you just need to grow up and develop some integrity in your actions. However, if grow up seems a bit too vague, then let me put it this way. Shut up and just do. Just let your actions speak for themselves. He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know, says Lao Tzu. Number 2. The more content I consume, the less happy I'll be because I'll start wanting what everyone else has. Humans are susceptible, me more than anyone else. When I think about the unhappiest times in my life, they all have a very, very consistent theme. I am consuming the lives of other people in the form of YouTube videos, keeping up to date with what they're doing, seeing what they're doing on social media. Literally all of the times I've felt most confused and drained and depressed in my life have been during a period of mindless consumption. And at the most fundamental level, thinking about it now, whenever I'm consuming the most, it's because I'm immediately trying to escape the environment in which I'm in, because I find it dull, boring, maybe it's not where I want to be in life, and also I haven't given myself anything else worthwhile to focus on in replacement of mindless consumption. So I begin to watch other people and their plans for success and how they're achieving success, so I'm living my fantasies through them because I don't have the courage to do it myself. And then suddenly I grow more dissatisfied with my life because I'm seeing what they want and what they have. I'm now wanting what they want and what they have. So I have a chosen unhappiness because I'm desiring something. And also, not to mention, that the easily won advice that all of these people have on the internet can start to rub off on you in a very slowly annoying way. Now I say slowly because we don't always realise it firsthand. However, Naval Ravikant famously said that the price we pay for wisdom is pain. Washing machine's done. The price we pay for wisdom is pain, but without going through the necessary process of pain to arrive at your own conclusions, you feel unchallenged. Therefore, you have all of these concepts from all of these podcasts and self-development books in your head, and you can explain them like that, and you understand what they mean. But because you haven't arrived at the wisdom of those things, you feel unchallenged. And when you feel unchallenged in life, you feel depressed. So the theme of the happiest moments in my life, where I felt most engaged, is when I'm engaged in the world and people around me, not in a screen. In fact, I become so occupied in what I'm doing and so meaningfully engaged that the thought of watching a YouTube video or watching pornography seems laughable because, one, I know it will fuck everything up, and number two, it just seems shallow. It seems shallow when you have other things that are worthwhile to do. So there's no debate. All mindless screen time consumption links to less happiness in your life. Let me turn the washing machine off. Right, next one. Number 3, it is so much better for me and I'll save boundless amounts of time if I just allow myself to be bored and do nothing, especially when deciding what to do next. In reference to the point that we just covered, number 2, whenever I'm in a period of limbo in my life where I feel confused and I need to have a little think about what path I'm going to take next, or even after like a thrilling experience like a holiday or an awesome, enriching experience, the more I mindlessly consume because I'm bored and I'm escaping boredom, the more time I waste overall and the more dissatisfied I feel because I'm delaying the necessary realizations and restoration I need in order to awaken to what path I need to take next. I was thinking about this the other day, how much time I would have saved over the years if I would have just done nothing when I needed to figure some things out and just literally been bored. No screens, no YouTube, no mindless consumption, no getting advice from other people, no success stories, just being bored. I know the reason why I don't do it is because I feel guilty about what the people I live with would think about me doing nothing. Like, oh my God, he's done nothing all day. What a waste. No. What is a waste is distracting yourself when you need to realise something or when you need to pick the next path. So without a shadow of a fucking doubt, be bored. Allow yourself to be bored because it's for your own benefit. It's for my own benefit. I know I was going to talk to myself. Number 4, no matter what's happening in my life, if I'm exercising consistently, I'm fine. Quite self-explanatory, that one. Number 5, half-felt emotions are dangerous. I need to go all the way to be rid of the emotion and learn what it's actually trying to tell me. Bloody hell. Related to the point of boredom, if you just get out of the screen that you are absorbing yourself into and just listen to whatever this emotion is trying to tell you, you will be so much better off. Because if there's one thing I've realised in my journey of emotional intelligence, because I used to be very emotional. I didn't know how to manage my emotions, let's put it at that. That sounds a lot better than I used to be emotional. Emotions are just feedback. They literally are just feedback. A lot of the time, depression is feedback for maybe a lack of options, so is sadness. Anxiety is feedback for decision fatigue and not having made a decision, in some cases. Confusion is feedback for you needing to unplug everything from your life and just have a reset and to rethink things. And if you really listen to whatever this emotion is telling you and really feel it to the depths, you can make such changes in your life. In fact, when I think about the biggest changes I've made in my life, like moving out of my mum's house to go and live a year in Bristol, travelling around the world when I was 18, every period before that big change involved a listening of an emotion that I had to uncover the message which it was trying to tell me. So for example, before moving out of my mum's house, I felt depressed and I felt disconnected because I didn't have any friends and I didn't know how to take care of my mental health. So I was like, right, I need a change. I need to move out and I need to build a community, and I did. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I continuously distracted myself and didn't listen to what not the depression, but the feeling of sadness and disconnection was telling me. So feel your emotion all the way to the depths. Fully live the experience. Don't back out. Sometimes it will be dark, and especially if it's a darker emotion like anxiety or depression, feel it all the way to the depths and fully relinquish the power that it has over you by learning the lesson and the thing that it's actually trying to tell you. There will be dark days for sure. There would be days where you'll question whether anything is worth it if you do allow yourself to lean into the feeling of the emotion. but it's the only way that you can re-emerge anew with the wisdom that the emotion is trying to tell you. One pet peeve that I have is when people cannot accept that sometimes people aren't happy or positive all of the time. So what I'd say is, if you're gonna, fully live your emotions to the depths, not all of them, but if you live with someone who cannot stand when other people aren't happy, like, oh, what's wrong with you, just politely tell them, look, I'm going to be in a bit of a mood for the next day or so. I would appreciate if you don't comment on my mood. Speaking from experience there. Number 6, the key to life is the handful of emotions that I feel most consistently. Yes, after reflecting on the happiest and most fulfilling moments I've had in my life, they've all been states of mind. Let me explain. Maybe these states of mind lasted for like a week, 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months, but the state of mind that I'm talking about is a handful of emotions that you feel most consistently. So during my time traveling, I felt novelty, engaged, and wanderlust. During my year living in Bristol, I felt connected and fulfilled. So the key here is to realize that any emotion that you want to consistently cultivate, whether it be happiness, meaning, fulfillment, look at them like skills. So you cultivate happiness through your habits. You cultivate stillness through your rituals. Love is a skill that you build through how you treat yourself and how you operate in your social interactions. And confidence is a skill that you cultivate through having a bias towards action. Number 7, women really appreciate good hygiene. Number 8, my environment is key, but I should be able to have inner peace no matter where I am. Oof. Your environment is really important, like where you live, the opportunities you're exposed to, how much nature is around you, and the exposure you have to different people in your life. However, the most important thing isn't where you are in the world, but where you are with yourself, mentally, spiritually, physically, however you want to put it. Hence, you can convince yourself that the key to your satisfaction in life and overcoming the rut that you're currently in, if you're in a rut, is to move to a new place and start a new life. Now that might be true. You might find that the satisfaction that you're looking for is 2 hours away on a flight. But more so than not, what you'll recognise is that you've brought ruins to ruins, and you're in this new place, but you feel no different because you've brought yourself with you. So whenever I find myself in a rut and I'm convincing myself, oh, I need to travel in order to not feel this way or to overcome this, I force myself to stay where I am, to stay put for a little bit longer, just so I can overcome the mental barriers. And if I still want to travel after this, then of course I still travel, but I don't bring ruins to ruins. I want to be mentally in a good place when I go to pastures new. Number 9, we got 4 more. The most fulfilling answers in life are always the spiritual ones. Always. You cannot solve your chronic dissatisfaction with more productivity. You cannot force someone to love you with false bravado, and you cannot make yourself happy by becoming extremely rich. But you can choose presence now, and you can choose to fully embrace your environment and to live with an open heart, even if it hurts. And you can choose to be sincere and not serious, as Alan Watts would say. The most fulfilling moments in my life have been when I felt spiritually connected, whatever that means for you. Number 10, I cannot force anyone to do anything, and if I do, that's a bit of a dick move. Getting into the more social aspect of things now, you cannot mess with other people's destinies, and if you do, you should feel an inner intuition that you're doing the wrong thing, because you cannot choose what people want for them, and you cannot make decisions for them. What's better is to listen to people, to gift people 2 ears and infinite compassion, and just to listen to them unravel their thoughts and help them arrive at their own wisdom by being a soundboard for them, and just reflecting what they're saying back to them in your words and helping them realise what they need to realise through the lens of their values. Because we all value different things, right? We all have a different definition of success. So when you infringe your definitions and your values onto other people, it's quite spiritually aggressive. That's the best way I've heard it coined, spiritual aggression. Number 11, only give advice if someone asks for it. Just shut up and listen. Don't be that guy who's always giving people advice. Over the years, I think when I was 18, 17, I used to give people advice a lot more. Now you can say this is technically advice, right? But the way I kind of think about my YouTube channel is they're all things that I've realised, and these are all lessons that I need to learn, and I've arrived at my own wisdom. And I'm sharing it with people, and if you want to listen, you can listen. If not, then obviously you don't have to. I think when I was 18, I used to give people advice a lot more because I didn't really have the best social skills back then. But now I really have an internal indicator that just spikes a red signal sign whenever I'm giving someone advice. I never feel good when I give someone advice because it's... Tell you a quick story. I was getting a train once from Switzerland through to Paris, and I met this guy, lovely guy, he was a Buddhist, he was called Prasantha. One thing that he taught me is that whenever you give advice, it's like you point your finger at someone, and what you don't realise is there's one point focused towards them, but there's 3 points pointing back towards you. So it's like when you wag your finger at someone and you give them advice, you're taking on 3 times the amount of responsibility for their problem. So advice in general isn't a bad thing, but always caveat what you're about to say with, do you mind if I give you a piece of advice? If you think it's necessary, or just listen to the person, like I said in the last point, and if they want advice, they'll ask for it. When in doubt, shut up. Last one, don't expect honesty from people who lie to themselves. You're going to get screwed over at least a handful of times in your life, but sometimes you can get a gauge as to whether someone will screw you over based on the relationship that they have with themselves, and this usually registers as a intuition of sorts. For example, if someone continuously lies to themselves in the form of not following through on their promises, not aligning their actions to what they're actually saying, they're constantly late, they give you the impression that they don't care that much, and maybe they have a track record of screwing people over in the past, if you continue to engage with this person, you're asking for trouble. So you cannot expect honesty if someone lies to themselves. And that's it. We'll leave it there. This video actually came about because I was journaling on my laptop and I was like, right, what are the consistent lessons I've learned over the years? This isn't a complete list, of course. I can do plenty more of these in the future. So it's actually quite fun to do because it's like it's like throwing paint at, well, usually we say throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. Over life, I've realised that pieces of wisdom that stick the most are the ones that I just initially that I'm just able to internalize over a long period of time, and no matter what context, no matter what epoch I'm in my life, they hit because they're truths and they are not contextually dependent truths. So I'm looking forward to uncovering more of these. Bit of a different video, bit more informal this one, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.